Could Critical Role become the next Baldur's Gate 3? We look into why Critical Role needs to be the next big fantasy IP in video games.
As gamers, we all want it really, really bad.
So, Critical Role has grown from a plucky streaming show to basically a media empire with its own Amazon Studio deal, multiple novels and comics, its own tabletop gaming studio, and so very much more. But for all the growth that we've seen out of Critical Role over the past decade, there is one summit that the show's cast/owners want to go but haven't yet scaled, and that is, of course, the world of video games. If not for the fact that Critical Role has become something of a phenomenon, most of the cast would probably be best known for their acclaimed voice acting in a number of popular video games over the past 15, 20 or so years. From Matt Mercer in Tears of the Kingdom to Laura Bailey and Asheley Johnson in The Last of Us, the cast is a huge part of the video game voice acting industry, which makes sense because, the cast is and this is Matt's quote, a bunch of nerdy-ass voice actors. Since at least 2021, if not earlier, Critical Role has been in talks to have the world of Exandria cross over into video games. This isn't exactly a secret. Comicbook.com has talked to the cast about their aspirations to make a Critical Role video game several times, as has many other outlets.
Legend of Vox Machina video game. When's it happening?
I'm telling you.
Let's go.
I know, as gamers, we all want it really, really bad. It's also a question of time and bandwidth, and are we able to successfully clone ourselves over and over? It's one of those things. If the right opportunity comes along, we will definitely pounce on it.
And there are several partners who would make a lot of sense for this project. As we mentioned in the past video, Larian Studios would make a lot of sense. They have some noble connections to Critical Role. And obviously, Larian is, they're the hot topic right now in the video game industry. Now, Larian is enjoying something of a well-earned break, and, they are probably going to make some DLC for Baldur's Gate 3 before they do anything else, but a future Critical Role project might be something that makes a whole lot of sense. There's also Obsidian Entertainment, who made what might be the closest thing that we've gotten to a Critical Role video game, as Pillars of Eternity 2 features a Critical Role character pack, and also their respective cast members all appear as character portraits and voice sets for player characters. Also, the entire cast of Critical Role voice acted in that game, and we mean the entire cast. Of course, we should also point out Critical Role's relationship with Amazon. Critical Role has a relationship with Amazon via Amazon Studios, and Amazon has been trying desperately to land a fantasy hit for years with games like New World, Lost Ark, and now Blue Protocol. But we will note that Amazon Studios and Amazon Games are different entities, and there's no official connection between Critical Role and Amazon Games other than the fact that Amazon Games' parent company has a couple of other affiliates that do have relationships with Critical Role. You'd still have to figure that Amazon Games would at least want to make a push to get a Critical Role video game, especially as there's already a lot of synergy between the two. So we can also point out that Wizards of the Coast has a lot of digital studios nowadays. Most of these studios are trying to either leverage Wizards' existing IPs, and by existing IPs we mean, of course, Dungeons & Dragons, or they're trying to create some new IPs because, what studio can only, make games based on two successful IPs, Magic and D&D. But Wizards does have a working relationship to Critical Role to the point that D&D Beyond, which is one of Wizards' digital products, recently published Tal'Dorei Reborn on their platform as the first official third-party content that's owned by somebody else on that platform. Now, it's unlikely that Wizards would team up with Critical Role for a video game, but given the nature of the relationship of the two groups, it's not impossible. Baldur's Gate 3 and, in the past couple of years, games like Elden Ring have proven that fantasy is still one of the hot genres in video games. Everyone loves fantasy. We all love ourselves a good fantasy video game. Whether it's a turn-based RPG or an action-adventure game, people just love their fantasy IPs, and people love their Critical Role. So it's not really a matter of if for someone partnering with Critical Role, it's a matter of when. Unless Critical Role has enough money sitting in the bank to just buy a game studio, which I would say is ridiculous, but I don't know how well those Cinemark screenings are doing. Anyways, What company do you want to see tackle a Critical Role video game? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons.